I'm pretty sure this will look better over here. So there's some balance to the composition. God bless film school.
Where would I be without it?
I know, right? Same.
Not working at McDonald's, that's for sure. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. And happy holidays and happy Hanukkah and all whatever you celebrate. Christmas special. We're talking about Love Actually here on Films and Fika, the podcast where we talk about movies and drink coffee. Merry Christmas, Mao.
Thank you.
What does your sweater say?
It says Santa paws. As in dog paws. And it has a bunch of dogs and Santa hats. And
It's very punny.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a pun. Isn't it more like wordplay?
Isn't that like the same thing but different? Synonyms?
I don't think you and I know enough English language to be talking about the differences between wordplay and puns. So I'm going to go with yes.
I feel like they're the same. Anyways, this season of materialistic thinking and holiday stress for buying the most perfect gift for your loved ones and celebrating it with family and extended family that you don't really hate but tolerate. Tolerate is the word.
I think tolerate is a great word.
I guess today. This year is going to be a little bit different, and most likely you're not going to see as much of the family, so good for you. Good for all of us.
That's the perfect ending for 2020 is the fact that you don't actually have to see your family.
Yeah, it's all worth
Congratulations.
it. What a reward. No, but like, I don't have a lot of Christmas traditions, per se, but Christmas movies is special, is interesting. My top go, I think we mentioned it even last episode, but my traditional Christmas movie is definitely Elf. It might not be the best movie ever. Apparently Link Neal from Red and Link loves Elf, and that kind of made me feel a little bit more appreciated for my opinions about holiday films.
Did you find that out because you played the movie game?
I don't know what that is. I was listening to their podcast.
Oh, god damn it.
What's that?
Sorry. It's just something on YouTube. It's stupid, but I've really enjoyed it. You know I love trivia.
Yeah.
Like I truly, really enjoy trivia. So it's kind of like a trivia game. It's not important. I'm sorry. Back to Elf.
Yeah, Elf is my movie that I have to watch every year, as well as Charlie Brown. It's Christmas Charlie Brown is something that I put on fairly recently, but the past few years I've always made sure to watch It's Christmas Charlie Brown. I mean, it's only like 30 minutes, 40 maybe. So it's a quick one. I bet a lot of people do the same thing with the Grinch, like the original one. And then I have the Iron Giant, which I always watch around New Year's, because it always used to air on TV when I was a kid. And so I have tried my best to keep up that tradition. But that's mostly everything I have. Love Actually, Die Hard are movies that kind of repeat themselves around this time.
Yeah.
Do you have any top picks or traditions that you can't miss out?
Me and my sister watch. Well, it's always me and her, but we try so that everyone in the family also does this with us.
Yeah,
we watch.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, the Jim Carrey's version of The Grinch, which I think it's awesome. Mm-hmm. Like I truly do find it really funny all the time. And I know a lot of people are married to the original animation, and I'm not crapping on that. I think it's proper fun as well.
proper
But when it
Dr.
comes to
Seuss.
like a tradition that we actually do
Yeah.
all like every Christmas, or as much as we can at least, is that one. As far as other movies go, I really enjoy watching Die Hard around this time because I truly think it's a Christmas movie. There's really no much debate around that. And Love Actually, you know I love rom-coms, and even though I might not be the biggest fan of Christmas movies, like the whole this is a Christmas movie thing, I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I think it's gonna be a fun episode. First rom-com on our podcast.
Oh,
It's gonna
yeah.
be interesting.
Fun stuff. It was actually like, I dare to say it's like a mini rec of mine. But you might have spotted on Netflix their show, which now has expanded way too much, in my opinion. But they had a Christmas special of the movies that made us. So it's the spin of the toys that made us, and now they are making movies. And the Die Hard episode of that one, they claim that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It just happens to take place during Christmas. But
Well, like, what's the difference between
right?
like all Christmas movies take place in Christmas?
I mean, what's it called? Love Actually is not necessarily that much of a Christmas movie in that case. They don't necessarily talk about the Christmas spirit. They do in Elf.
They do in Home Alone too.
Right. And you can't argue that Home Alone is not a Christmas movie. That's a good one,
Exactly.
actually. That's a good pick.
I love Home Alone. I love it. I love it. I think, honestly, it's one of those movies, because I don't know if this happens to you, but when it comes to comedies, there's only a small group of comedies that you will actively rewatch and have them still be just as funny. And I think Home Alone really stands the test of time, not gonna lie. It was really, really funny.
They kind of lost it at the 6th one, but yeah, Home Alone is dope.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the first and the second one.
The third one is okay, though.
I haven't seen the third one in a really long time.
It's maybe it's nostalgia to me, but it's cool.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could
But
be. Definitely.
it doesn't deserve 5 or 6 reboots. Definitely not.
Yeah.
No.
Aren't they making one for Disney Plus?
Ooh, I hope not.
I think so. I
Yikes.
really do.
Wouldn't it
It's what it is.
come out next year then or something?
I don't know,
Maybe.
man. The amount of stuff that was announced for Disney Plus for the next 3 years,
Yeah.
more like the rest of our lives.
To throw it back to Die Hard though, you and I with some other friends once, it must have been 2 years ago by now. We played a drinking game with Die Hard because it was the season. And is Die
Tis the
Hard?
season.
Yes. Is it a Christmas movie or not? I would argue yes, it's a Christmas movie because one of the rules were drink every time they say Merry Christmas or you spot a Christmas tree. And yeah, it was a well-packed movie with Christmas.
Some people did not
spirit.
walk out of the apartment. It was more of a slow Christmas crawl.
Christmas is surprisingly present in the action-thrilled movie Die Hard.
Die Hard.
What about Nightmare Before Christmas? It's in the title. Is it a Christmas movie?
I watch it more in Halloween.
Same.
Definitely.
Because again, with the Christmas spirit, not more than one song number with What's This? Full-on Christmas spirit, but the ending and the majority of the movie takes place in Halloween world. So yeah, I agree. It's a Halloween film.
It's also kind of deeply disturbing. So I like that shit for Halloween.
Yeah. No, that's true. I feel like you kind of
Like-
need snow in order, or to me, as a Scandinavian, you need snow,
Yeah.
or else it's not Christmas, which is why there hasn't been Christmas for about 7 years.
Yeah, for me, it really comes down to the fact that I've had very numbered white Christmases. I'm used to the fact that it doesn't snow here. And I think that's why also going all out on Christmas decorations is something that I really like when people do.
I
I mean, I think it's simply because since it doesn't snow, there would really be no way for us to know that it's Christmas other than people who really commit to the fact of like decking out the fuck out of their house. And I respect it and I really enjoy it. And I think it probably comes from that for sure.
I'm not sure if I agree. There's a line that you should not cross when it comes to
like keep it
decking
classy.
out.
Keep it classy.
Yeah,
but
like all the flashy RGB lights. Nah, I mean, cool. It's a fun viral YouTube video when you have the light show synced to the music and all. But no, keep it cozy and let the birds sleep. I feel like light pollution is bad as it is, and it's not really better during the Christmas time. At least turn them off sometime of night.
I guess so.
Bet that there definitely is the case of jealousy of the neighbor or wanting to prove yourself to be better than the neighbor and up each other's this year of Christmas lights. And like that's kind of childish, but you do you, boo. Like if you need to prove your size with Christmas lights to compared to your neighbor, then who am I to stop ya?
Yeah, man, that is true.
But the movie actually has a little bit of parody of it. But one thing that I cannot stand about Christmas, just to like bash on it a little bit more, is these gosh darn Christmas songs that are played on the radio. And it's not only like all of these beautiful Christmas movie songs. Every year there's a new one. But no, you have to play Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas, on repeat. Like, okay, maybe not on repeat, but every third time the radio station decides to change the song, it's usually All I Want for Christmas. I'm so tired of that song. When was it released? Like, way too long ago for it to be played consistently. At least make a cover on it. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, it was released at least 2002, right? Because that's when they that's when they made Love Actually, because it was released in 2003.
Oh yeah.
So you have at least 17 years of musical history with that song for sure.
Awful. Absolutely awful. And then on top of that, there's like 5 songs. No, I'm not even kidding. Like there's 5 songs that you hear over the Christmas season.
I feel like as a Mexican, yeah, we get All I Want for Christmas Is You, but we get way more of like Spanish Christmas carols. They're the same ones though. Like they're the same ones I've heard all my life.
Are they just the same White Christmas but translated?
White Christmas translated is definitely there. Yes. You gotta have it, man. Like if your country didn't translate a classic song into your own language, they did it wrong.
Fair enough. I don't know. Christmas to me is strange. Like I get it all. You spend the time with the people that you love and all of that good stuff, but it feels a little bit of an outdated holiday to be so hyped. So people have their entire December affected by the stress and the baking and just enjoy it while it's there. To me, and I know you kind of disagree, but New Year's makes more sense to actually have a new fresh start and something to look forward to and watch beautiful fireworks.
I disagree. New Year's is an excuse for shitty people to tell you that they're going to change, and then they just keep being the same old shitty person just 30 days later.
Okay, why are you so affected by these shitty people? Just ignore them. Go on with your life.
No, I go on with my life. It's the fact that they hijack your Instagram feed, and I'm not about to go without Instagram for 30 days just because Rachel doesn't want to admit that she will never, in fact, stop gossiping. You know what I'm saying, bruh? Like,
yeah.
No. I don't know. There's always this, like, I don't know, let's call him Jackson for the sake of this bit. But it's like, so Jackson woke up one day, January 1st. He's like, I'm going to be fit shit, bro. And then he floods your ass fucking Instagram feed into this whole gym bro mentality. And then February comes around and he starts posting about ice cream again. And you're like, Jackson, Why you lie to me, bro? I was rooting for you.
I believed in you. You let us all down.
Invested.
No, that's true. I'm not one to go to the gym, but January, almost even February, is awful at the gym.
Yeah.
It's bad enough as it is out there, but people just have to subscribe to their membership that lasts
And that,
2 months.
I'm not excusing myself, okay? I'm not saying I'm above this behavior. Like, I've also been there, you know? I've also been one of those people who's like, middle of January, you haven't hit the gym even though you said you would, and then you actually go, and it's full of people, and you're in this situation where you're deeply intimidated because you don't know how to fucking work out. You don't know how those machines work. For all you know, they're for your ass muscles, you know? I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. I don't go to the gym like that.
It's called glutes.
At the end of the day, it's like you walk out of there feeling worse about yourself. Like, if you want to truly make a change, don't wait till January where everyone is doing it. Just give yourself the time to do it properly. You know?
No, fair enough.
Also, like, when does it happen that you need to have a couple, like a partner during New Year's? Like, when does that happen in our lives as humans, you know? Because it used to be okay where it's like, you spend New Year's with your family, that's all right. But there comes a moment in our lives where it's like, if you don't have a partner, if you don't have a couple to be like, I'm spending New Year's with my partner's family, or like with my group of friends and my partner, then it's weird. When did that happen?
And it's a real thing how people, what do you call it, around October, November, when people start scramble to find a partner for Christmas season and
you call
and
it
New Year's.
Desperation, Algot. It's called desperation.
No, but it's definitely a thing. I would like to believe that I'm not really one, like, I don't think I've ever kissed anyone on New Year on the dot. Like, that's kind of stupid, but I'm a miserable fuck though, so who am I to say?
Wow.
I think it's around the time, like maybe your later teens or early teens, when you start celebrating New Year's outside of your family and go on parties and people are inebriated or just with their loved one, and then you get jealous because you're a teenager and stuff.
The thing is, like, that just became a thing for me, really, because I don't know, up until I was like 18, I would celebrate New Year's with all of my family, like all of them, like all 55 of them or something. So I didn't need to go out with my family, like with my friends, to get hammered. My aunts and uncles can do that part for me, you know? Like, it's insane.
Maybe that's why you don't like New Year's. Ever thought about that, son?
Well, the thing is, we see all 55 of us every chance there is. Like, birthdays, Christmas, they're always there. They're always a random Sunday of the year. Like, seeing all of them together is not that big of a shock.
To me, New Year's with the family is around one of my favorite times, or one of my favorite board games. We haven't spoken much about board games on this podcast ever. Save that for a special episode. Risk is one of my all-time favorites, and it takes on average 3 hours to complete. New Year's Eve is perfect time to play Risk, because you start it up, maybe you take a break and have some dinner, continue, watch some fireworks, and then finish it 3 a.m. because that's how long a game of Risk takes.
Like, my cousins like doing that on Christmas Eve, because nothing says, oh, ho, 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 God bless this Christmas spirit, more than, you know, family, rivalry, and
world domination. It's a good message for the family, that game.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up board games, because my family, like my inner core of family, like all 6 of us, we've never really been board game people.
I guess we've been more of cards and stuff. It's always been like, oh, when you're on a road trip, cards has always been in the backpack. But as of recently, when people have started to become of age in the family, we've picked up more like Settlers of Catan. Not more advanced than that, but more advanced than Monopoly per se.
My sister's getting into it. My sister recently got into Catan. Like, she's proper into it.
It's fun.
I've never played it, but
I can
yeah,
see.
I don't know.
I can see you as a Latino family. It's really getting heated because us as Swedes, we're over there. It's all about trading with Catan, because you sit there and like, oh, can I get 2 logs for 1 sheep? And like, no, you're gonna build a thing there, and then you're gonna have the power of all of us.
So is it like?
So I can see a Latino family really getting aggravated at each other and yelling on the top of your lungs.
I am pretty sure the reason why we don't play board games is because deep down my parents, especially I would say my dad, is kind of competitive, but it's like a part of himself that rarely needs to come out, so we don't really see it and he doesn't really see it, but I'm sure it has to do with that a little bit, where it's like, had we been playing board games, because we had to have gotten it from someone, right? Like, my sister's really competitive, I'm really competitive, my brother sometimes, and I know my mom doesn't care enough, so it had to be from my dad.
Oh, fair enough. I'm going home this weekend, and it's like, a few days before Christmas actually kicks in and the actual celebrations, but I'm looking forward to, and I have bookmarked a few recipes, so that's always what I enjoy a lot. Baking bread, mostly. Nothing is more Christmassy than making Christmas bread to me. Gosh damn, vörtbröd is the shit.
So about I think it was 2 weeks ago, it was like right after we recorded, and I was like, dude, that always happens. Like, whenever something interesting in the movie industry happens, we just recorded an episode, so
and
we
then
don't
we're
talk
gonna be
about
so late news when we talk about it next time.
Yeah, exactly. It was like everyone's gonna hear it, or like the 5 people that listen to us. So here's basically what happened. Warner Brothers is currently in a partnership of sorts with streaming service HBO Max. All of the Warner Brothers content is on HBO Max, and with the whole pandemic thing and the fact that people don't really want to go to movie theaters, even though they're open, people are not really going. Warner Brothers decided to announce that they were gonna release every single one of their movies on their 2021 slate the same day in theaters and on HBO Max at no cost, like no extra cost, because Disney really fucked us over with Mulan over there.
Well, I guess they showed that it worked. I guess they must have made.
Well, not really.
No,
not really. That's why if you want to watch Mulan now, it's free with your Disney Plus subscription, because people were pissed.
They didn't want to buy it, rent it.
Point is, what that meant was that movies like Wonder Woman 1984, Dune, King Kong vs. Godzilla, and many other movies were simply just gonna be released on HBO Max at the same time that theaters were going to. And as you can imagine, people were not happy, and people were really happy. Like, it was a mix of both. Like, as an audience member, that's awesome, right? Because you pay your subscription and you get like top tier, high quality content. But as a filmmaker and as someone in the industry, I can understand how a lot of people were kind of like freaking out about this. So Denis Villeneuve went on record, and he had like an interview where he was like, no, I don't want this. And it turns out that Warner Brothers didn't even let anyone know that they were going to do this. So the filmmakers didn't know they were going to do this, and the other studios that helped make all of these movies didn't know that they were going to do this. And so now people are really pissed and they're suing, or there's conversations about maybe suing Warner Brothers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But the biggest conversation that's happening right now is whether or not this is, like you and I spoke about at some point where Universal started all of this, is it finally the end for theaters?
I say no. Like, theaters are always going to be there, but coming out of lockdown per se, I think we're going to see a change in theaters, most definitely. Probably in the sense of, like, we're not going to see more IMAX theaters to the, like, huge ass screens and everything. Maybe one every here and there in bigger cities, and less smaller theaters, or something along those lines. And that's fine, because, you know, theaters have always been a on the radar, or in the crosshair sort of a business, and they always have had to adapt. I feel like we still have newspapers around, don't we? Newspapers have more or less converted to digitally with a subscription thingy also, and it's not great. One would argue that it's not better, but it's where people are taking it. Like, it's all about the consumer, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, you talk about newspapers, but in reality, like, is that even a thing anymore, right? Like, a lot of people, a lot of new journalists, like younger journalists that are just now becoming journalists, they opt for different venues other than newspapers. They maybe think starting a YouTube channel would be better. You know, there's a lot of people who would rather get their news from TikTok or Instagram or Twitter or whatever. And it kind of tells you a lot about who we are as a society nowadays. Yeah. But I also think that the problem with all of this is we don't know how streaming services make money. We kind of know that it has to do with subscriptions, but there's really no, like, ad revenue per se. Like, it's a black hole of information. Yeah. Like, we really don't know how it works. And, like, Denis Villeneuve was talking about how he wanted to make more movies about the Dune universe, because there's a lot of books that explore the universe of Dune. And, you know, that, as we all know, sequels are based on how good your movie does financially in the box office. So how are we even going to be able to tell those numbers now? Because we can't really say how many people have watched a movie, because at the end of the day, we don't know how that works, right? And even if, because HBO Max is and Warner Brothers, they're making the argument that, you know, this is going to bring a lot of new subscribers to their platform. But in reality, though, we also know that a lot of people don't subscribe to services, but they have a cousin who has a friend who had a girlfriend 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And you know, like, and they use that subscription instead of buying one. And, like, a lot of people do that. So there's also the argument of, like, how many people are actually going to pay to watch these movies.
Did Warner Bros. Confirm whether or not you're gonna still have a theatrical release?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna, like, same day. So Wonder Woman is releasing December 25th on HBO Max and on theaters, same time. And basically that's for all of the movies that they were gonna release in 2021.
All right. So I think borderline, you as a consumer, if you value the theater experience, don't get an HBO Max subscription, or wait, especially for something like Godzilla. Is not the greatest of flick, but it will be better on the big screen. I went to see Godzilla, the last one, God of something. And it's so cool to watch a Transformers movie, or even Fast and Furious for that matter, on like a big ass screen. It's such a cool experience with proper sound, and I don't know, IMAX is not something that I've really fallen for completely, but there is IMAX also. I kind of want to make the argument, though, for argument's sake. On the contrary of the filmmaker, I get it. Like Christopher Nolan went out and spoke about this also, and like, just bashed on it, and
Obviously.
yeah, as he always does. Like, me and a filmmaker, you don't respect my art like that. Sure, I hear you, but looking at the business side of it, if you will, because there is a business side to movies, however little we appreciate it. We definitely see that consumers do streaming services. We're not really sure how long streaming services are going to be as appreciated as they are currently, but bingeability is a huge thing. People just binge shows all the time. To some extent, maybe people will start binging movies in the same way. And I feel like the TV industry has transitioned into mass production of the shows, but the production value is still pretty cool. You have these cheap ass shows that are still watched by millions and appreciated by millions, and it looks great and the writing is great, but they're just pushing them out there. So for argument's sake, maybe the movie industry have to adapt in a similar sense. Will that mean that the budgets are going to be lower? Yeah. And would that mean that being indie would be near to impossible? Unfortunately, yeah. And then he would not be able to release the next Dune 3 sequel. So that's sucky. But it's the climate that we as consumers kind of create also. It's weird. I feel like you have to adapt in order to succeed as a filmmaker.
Like, I see your point. Like, I really, really do. Especially because I don't think people realize the amount of power that we have as an audience member, especially because of the internet and social media. Like, look at what we did to the Star Wars franchise in terms of, like, the movies, right? Like, the reason why it was such an unsatisfactory ending to a trilogy was because we butchered it.
Yep.
And I'm saying we simply because I'm a nice person, but holy shit, there's nothing more toxic than the Star Wars community. It's insane. It's insane. Like, I know Christopher Nolan is pretentious, and I know that he really comes across as someone who could turn it down a couple notches for sure. But like, Tenet just came out on Blu-ray, and I watched all the behind the scenes, and the dude cares, man. Like, he cares so much, and he puts so much work into it from the pre-production stage. Like, it's not like he just makes big movie scenes for the sake of making big movie scenes. Like, he cares about everything. And I know Tenet might be convoluted and might be a little bit messy for a lot of people, but it is insane the amount of care and detail that he put into all of these things. And unfortunately, like we've seen with David Fincher, who also cares, sometimes caring means you need money, right? Because otherwise there's just not enough ways of you being able to control every aspect of filmmaking, you know? And I think it's an interesting balance.
Yeah.
But then again, when it comes to it, I would never watch something like Matrix 4 or Dune or The Suicide Squad or, you know, all of these
big ass
movies
on
my TV for the first time, you know?
Oh, yeah, okay.
It'll be interesting to see, especially with all the backlash within the industry that Warner Brothers is getting, if they actually go through with this.
For sure.
I guess we'll find out.
I think they are, and we'll see the result of that. I would like to believe that they have a strategy in mind, or that they have run some numbers by it. It must be a calculated plan. I hope so, for their sake.
Yeah.
So from big studios to another, you were more invested, mostly because I'm not a big fan of the Marvel universe, I guess. But Disney, what's with their run-ups? What do they have in stock for us?
So many things. It's insane. It's insane. They have announced I think 52 new projects
Yeah.
just within like Disney Plus. Not even stuff that they're gonna release
Oh.
outside of it.
Ooh.
Like this is all stuff within Disney Plus
Cool.
that they say was always like they were always meant for Disney Plus, which I guess I
Nah.
kind of agree
Really?
because most of them are TV shows,
Okay.
and you know that's like the original content, like The Mandalorian, that really brought people into Disney Plus. Well, that and the nostalgia, can't forget that. That will always make you money. So yeah, I can give you a rundown of it because it's kind of insane.
I mean, there is a lot of Star Wars, what you call them, shows and stuff coming up, and I'm not too sure what to feel about it. Like The Mandalorian is all granted, it's proven itself a good show, and I'm really enjoying Mandalorian. I don't know. Have you been keeping up with the newest season?
I like binging stuff, so I'm waiting. I think
I-
the last episode comes out this week, so
Yeah,
then I'll be able to just binge all of it.
No, I actually enjoy when they release every week or so. But the second season of Mandalorian is probably, in my opinion, better than the first one so far. I'm almost halfway through. But I'm hoping that it's not just a fluke, that the Mandalorian was well crafted, and then we're gonna have all of these Star Wars PCs coming out, and it's just it's gonna be too much all of a sudden, which is very likely, and I'm not looking forward to that.
Here's the thing. Honestly, they're releasing 10 new shows, and I'll give you the rundown of them real quick. So there's gonna be 2 new shows that are kind of like spin-offs of the Mandalorian
Right.
era. One called Rangers of the New Republic, and the other one's called Ahsoka, for Ahsoka Tano, which
Dope.
I'm on board with.
Dope.
Then they're gonna do a spin-off of the Clone Wars, like the animated series that's called The Bad Batch, and it's about a group of clones, so it's more like Clone Wars centric, which I think is cool too. A spin-off of Rogue One and one of the characters from the movie, Cassian Andor.
It's a cool character.
Yeah, for sure. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Ewan McGregor's coming back to play Obi-Wan, and Hayden Christensen's come back as Darth Vader slash Anakin Skywalker. Obviously you need a R2-D2 C-3PO thing, so there's also that. And then Lando, because Solo did so well.
It was okay though.
Yeah, exactly. And then the one that I think is the most interesting one is called Star Wars Visions, in which they're teaming up with like some of the most prominent anime animators and creators, and they're gonna just like let them riff on the Star Wars universe. I think that's gonna be really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, they announced a bunch of movies. Well, not a bunch, 2 of them. Like Rogue Squadron movie with Patty Jenkins. She's the woman behind Wonder Woman, so I think that's gonna be pretty cool. And also, obviously, Taika Waititi needs to do something within the universe outside of The Mandalorian, and I think it's gonna be really interesting. But the thing is, like, you know, we can come back to what you were saying. When is it too much, right? When is it going to be overly saturated as a franchise? Because a lot of people would make the argument that it already is.
Yes.
You know?
Well, but I do agree with most people that I'm glad that they're not continuing the Skywalker saga. That's already
I'm
too
so
much.
happy. I am so happy that it's done.
So I'm glad to see things like Rogue One, even Solo for that matter, when they're doing spin-offs of the original content like that. So out of the Marvel projects that they have coming up, which one should one be the most excited for?
WandaVision.
Which is what?
WandaVision?
Yeah. What's that?
Wait, what were you going to say?
What's WandaVision? Is that like another Suicide Squad thingy?
No, WandaVision is a TV show. It's actually the first thing that's going to come out of all these announcements. And it's a TV show following Wanda, you know, the chick with the powers, and Vision.
Oof.
It's actually, it looks really, really interesting because they're going to be talking about...
No, but the characters are so meh.
But that's the point. They're not... Like, the point of the show is that they're going to explore these characters that haven't had a lot of screen time. And they're going to be talking about all the, like, alternate universes and alternate realities and how they affect each other. It looks really cool. But what do you think is the most interesting thing?
I don't know. I just heard they were going to release another Ant-Man film. And I'm like...
Yeah.
What can you possibly improve upon from Ant-Man 2? I went to the theaters to see that.
It's called Quantumania.
What is that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
If I were to be excited out of anything, it would be She-Hulk. Because I do not know, I can't even fathom how they would do a good She-Hulk live action. She-Hulk is an interesting character to me, or whatever you want to call it, extended universe thingy, because I've seen a little bit about whatever that cartoon was. I think that's fairly recent, and they able to pull it off and everything. But if She-Hulk just all of a sudden shows up and they're making it the Hulk 2, but She-Hulk instead of Hulk, then that's not gonna work as well as if they, for example, were to go to the planet and the entire story would take place on the Hulk planet, whatever it's called.
I think it'll be interesting to see what direction they take the Marvel stuff in, right? Because it's been 19 or so years of us building towards something, and a lot of the stuff that we've seen from the Marvel universe up to this point follows a very similar formula that is like a mixture between what Jon Favreau did with Iron Man, the first one, and what Joss Whedon did with the first Avengers.
Are we done with the Avengers storyline kind of a thing? Are we just like...
For now, okay. Because technically speaking, the Avengers are no more. Yeah. You know, like it's time for the new Avengers to come together, because Captain America's not there, and technically none of them are there anymore. You know, Iron Man's not there, Captain America's not there, Black Widow's not there. Thor is off playing with the Guardians of the Galaxy for some reason, and so it's really not a thing anymore.
You know what I would like to see? The movie that I'm missing is Hawkeye, the Green Arrow character of the Marvel universe.
He's getting a TV show.
I need a movie. I hate TV shows. They're stupid.
But here's the thing, though. If they release them like they've been doing The Mandalorian, you seem to enjoy that. You seem to enjoy the whole weekly thing.
Because then you have something to look forward to. I'm not one to binge. But to be fair, Marvel shows currently are not as good at all. I would almost argue that DC shows have the upper hand. They're not better, but they have the upper hand.
I agree with what you're saying, but I don't know. There's really interesting creators behind all of these kind of scheduled items. So that's always interesting. And I think I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but some of these characters have very edgy storylines.
Yeah.
And we don't know. Maybe Disney surprises us and allows themselves to get a little bit out of their comfort zone.
Recommendations. My recommendation for the week is not to put one in the Christmas spirit per se, but it does have a Christmas sequence. I mean, we're following them throughout the seasons, and one of the seasons happens to be over winter, so Christmas is effective. But it's not a Christmas movie. But as I mentioned before, It's Christmas, Charlie Brown is one of my very close to heart Christmas films that I always put on. And the new movie, what's it called? A Snoopy movie? The Snoopy movie?
Isn't it the Peanuts movie?
Peanuts movie.
I don't know.
No, I think you're right. The reboot works surprisingly well. I'm not that nostalgic to Charlie Brown, but I would argue, to my knowledge, that the Peanuts movie is actually staying true to the original. Of course, it's in 3D now, but it works because there's in some way they're combining 2D animation and 3D animation, and all the walk cycles and all of that good stuff is still there. And more importantly, like the writing and the dialogue and such stays true to original, which is nice. It's one of those good reboots. There's too few of them out there.
Fair.
So it's a good reboot. If you do appreciate Charlie Brown, give this one a shot.
Cool.
Yeah. There's snow and stuff.
Well, as far as my recommendation goes, I was going to recommend the new David Fincher movie. That was my idea. You know, it came out, I watched it, I was like, I'm going to recommend it. And then I realized I shouldn't recommend that movie because a lot of people are not going to like that movie. You know, it's in black and white. It's about old Hollywood. People talk funny. Yeah.
But you enjoyed it.
Oh, I enjoyed it, yes.
Yeah. But you wouldn't recommend it to someone else.
Yeah, like I understand why the appeal is very limited. I thought Amanda Seyfried was amazing in it, and I enjoy old Hollywood. I think it's really cool, and it's about how they made Citizen Kane, which, you know, already there it's like, why did they make a movie about one of the oldest movies ever?
Oh, it's one of the bestest movies ever. Also a good Christmas movie, actually. Maybe I should put that one on. That would put you in the spirit. Well, maybe in a morbid way, but
definitely in a morbid. Anyways, so my real recommendation for this week, because, you know, we're talking about rom-coms and we're talking about Christmas movie. I'm gonna go with I would say truly the first LGBTQ Christmas movie that had the backing of a truly major studio. Like it was supposed to be like Universal and TriStar Pictures and all of this stuff, but, you know, sadly because of COVID and all of that, they had to sell it to other distributors, which is why it came out in Hulu. The movie I'm talking about is called Happiest Season. It is written by Clea Duvall and Mary Holland, directed by Duvall, and it stars Kristen Stewart, Mackenzie Davis, Alison Brie, Aubrey Plaza, Dan Levy, and a bunch of other people who are really, really funny. And just as a small synopsis, it's about a woman who struggles to come out to her parents during Christmas. But the funny part is that she invites her girlfriend over for Christmas with her family. So when they get there, she's like, oh, I'm gonna like get to know your family. And she was like, yeah, but they don't know that I'm gay. They don't know that we're a couple, and it has to stay a secret. So that's why the movie, that's where the comedy comes from. And, you know, it checks off the boxes, man. Like, I'm not saying, like, of course it is life-changing for a lot of people because of representation and because it matters. And it's really cute and it's really sweet. But it is a rom-com. Yeah. So it kind of follows certain steps, and it's not a bad thing, and we'll talk about it more when it comes to Love Actually. But I thought it was really funny, and I thought it was really cute, and it's Christmassy. It's really, really Christmassy. So I think people would enjoy it. Love Actually is a 2003 romantic comedy film written and directed by Richard Curtis, and it stars pretty much every fucking actor that you know nowadays. It's insane. So it has Hugh Grant, Liam Neeson, Emma Thompson, Laura Linney, Alan Rickman, Keira Knightley, Bill Nighy, Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, no one else?
I know, right? It's like it's barely anyone in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy how many people there's in this movie.
And how they're able to succeed so well with so many characters. And basically we're following each storyline of theirs. There's like 9 of them, and some smaller than others, but or some have less screen times, let's say, but all of them are very interesting and very well executed, and it's so much fun seeing Martin Freeman in one of his first roles, actually. And he's completely nude, but no spoilers yet.
Oh right, yeah, this is spoiler free.
I'm sorry.
Free. I think people should watch this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's funnier than most people think it could be. I honestly believe that it's because it's written by a British person who has a British humor. So it's actually
Better in every
really
way.
laugh out loud funny. More than a lot of romantic comedies. Like, the reason it's romantic is because it follows all these, like, quote-unquote love stories. But it really just is a comedy. And I would recommend a lot of people see this. It's very Christmassy. It's very funny. It's kind of cheesy, but that kind of comes with the territory. So, yeah, I'd say watch it. I'd say, be sure of your masculinity and drop the act and just watch a romantic comedy, for fuck's sake.
Yes. I think it has something for everyone. Wherever you are in life, whenever, whatever age you are. If you want to reminisce about an old relationship that didn't go too well, or if you're in love with someone new, it definitely has something for everyone, and relatable on a lot of levels, if not all of them, as it covers most of it.
Also, even though it is a rom-com, I don't think it follows the usual structure per se, and even the ending is not what a lot of people might think will happen, especially because there's 9 stories that you're following, and reality, it's like it tries to be really grounded in reality. So I feel that's a really big reason as to why not all the stories end up the way that you think they're going to. So I think that's also nice.
So before we head into spoiler territory, I would like to throw it to you, Mao, and ask you, because I'm not one to necessarily see so many rom-coms, possibly because I see it as not the most masculine thing, and I should get over that. But like, I'm not too well versed in the territory of rom-coms. Why do you seem to enjoy them so much, and what is it that I'm missing out on?
I think the reason that I enjoy them is because deep down I'm very much a hopeless romantic. And even though I'm pretty cynical on my day-to-day life, deep down I would like to say that I'm a romantic person, and I'm a very optimist person when it comes to all this stuff. And I agree that there's a lot of toxic expectations that these type of movies kind of set up for us.
Or even more so, it's known to be the lesser form of movie, wouldn't you say? It's like easily accessible to everyone, and
yeah, I feel rom-coms very much are looked down upon by a lot of people. I think mostly because a lot of people think that they're very formulaic, and to be completely honest, I'm not gonna argue against that fact, but there's also something comforting about formula when it comes to the types of movies. Like, I feel the key to a good rom-com is not that you break the formula, but it's rather what you do within that. I truly believe that when it comes to art, limitations sometimes really, really help. And that formula makes things interesting because you know what to expect in the like grand scheme of things, but at the same time, you're kind of looking forward to seeing how they break out of this mold. And it's really cool. And I also think they're just comfort movies. And sometimes you just want something that is not necessarily hard to predict, or something you just want something that feels like a hug, kind of.
The few rom-coms that I have, or like that means something to me, I guess, I don't know, something like 500 Days, for example, is a movie that I put on movie in a certain time of state of mind, I guess. Do you also do that necessarily with rom-coms, where you're heartbroken and you put on a rom-com and it is all better, or in a poor attempt at making things better?
Yeah, for sure. But it's like it's very similar to how you've had a shit day.
Yes.
Like, especially when you're like a teenager and you're like, I had a shit day, and then it starts raining, and so you just put sad music on and watch the rain fall because you're an angsty teenager.
Yeah.
Just me. Sorry.
Yeah. So Love Actually, this is your official spoiler warning. But if you haven't seen the movie already, first of all, what are you doing with your life? Go on and put it on, because it's a good time of year. I feel like it's timeless. You don't have to watch it over Christmas, but it's better if you watch it around this time. Truly.
Also, if you have doubts about how funny it could be, it's kind of raunchy. Like, it has that early 2000s humor that is not necessarily, something that you would see nowadays. And I think
it's also
that's key.
It's also British, which I think helps with that. It's just better humor. Yeah. It's European. Yep. So where do we start? Is there any specific scene or sequence that you're fond of?
Yes, there is. But it's also kind of like the most depressing part of this movie. But yes. Like, I think all 9 stories are really well handled. I think the editor does a really good job, and it probably comes from the script as well, where all of these stories get the proper screen time that they deserve. And all of the actors perform them in a really, really good and human way.
Great acting.
And I think, I really think that it's really well executed in that way. And because it handles the highs and the lows and all of the stuff that comes from a rom-com very well. And like you said, there's stories that focus on the exhilarating feeling of a new love and a new relationship and what it is to discover this other person. But the one story that has Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson, and how they represent this kind of like this relationship that has gone on for a lot of years, and they have children and they've been married for a while. And I think my favorite scene is when Emma Thompson realizes that he, in some way or another, is cheating on her. I think it is such a great performance on her part, but it's also just very well handled in that she realizes that this is going to happen, or like that it's happening, and she doesn't want to break down in front of her children. So she goes and breaks down on her own, and then she picks herself back up and she comes out of her room like nothing's happened. And I think it is such a heartbreaking scene, and she handles it so well. But it also kind of just, for me, for some reason, it talks to how a lot of parents are like that, where they can't really show weakness around their children because they're too young. And you like shatter their illusion of superhuman parents. And I think that takes a lot of selflessness. And I just thought, I think that's my favorite scene in this movie.
Yeah. It's very real how they go about it. Even by the before the end credits, we see them accepting each other, and whether or not it's so open-ended or not, but where they are in their relationship, if they're even to that point. But it's definitely the kids, for the kids, that they would be staying together. That's my assumption, that they're, it's kind of unspoken of, but they remain
What
as
I
they
also
are.
enjoy about that storyline is that Alan Rickman's character is not this like womanizer, skeevy bastard. He's just like a dude who's put in this situation. He's getting all of these like not so subtle hints from his secretary, played by Heike Makatash.
But very much seduced by.
Yeah, for sure. And like I feel like that's the interesting aspect of it, is that he's not the one who's quote unquote searching for this attention, but it's more about what happens once he realizes the attention's happening, and how it's not that he's a bastard or he's a bad person. He's just someone who's tempted and who's been in a relationship for a really, really long time. And even though a lot of people don't like talking about it, that tends to happen sometimes, where you're in this relationship and for some reason it just feels like you've settled into a routine, and it's hard to get out of that. So I think it's an interesting storyline.
And like, I mean, naturally the scene with Rowan Atkinson, hilarious. But the way he goes about
Awesome.
buying this necklace for his secretary is really nice. I love how it's structured in the way that you see him considering it, and then you kind of get some confirmation that he is gonna buy the necklace. He ends up not buying the necklace, thanks to Rowan. And then these like small moments of Emma finding the present in his pocket, and we're like, oh, but it's under the tree now. It's exactly the same size, and we have this small like understandings of who they are as characters. And I'm not sure if they would be misleads or just, but it's definitely playing with us as the audience of what we think, and it keeps us intrigued to see how it plays out.
I think it's really interesting how, because of what you're saying, we are shown that it's not that he is a bad husband, because in his head, giving Emma Thompson this CD is proof that he listens to her, and that he's actively engaged in this conversation with her and their relationship and their day-to-day. But at the same time, he has this other side of his head where he's confused about what is going on with his secretary, because I truly think he's never 100% about what he's doing with her. Like, it's always kind of like, it feels like he's just wanting to try something out, and I'm not saying it's okay. I'm really, really not saying it's okay. I just think it's an interesting way of showing this type of dynamic, where it's usually, oh yeah, the guy is a really bad person, or like, oh, they had a really shitty relationship or whatever. I think it's very real. I think what this movie has going for it is that it's very real, and that comes with certain things that I personally don't enjoy visually, but I understand that it comes with the fact that it's trying to be as real as possible within certain constraints, because there's other timelines, like the one about the guy who wants to come to America simply because he'll get more babes.
Yes. No, what's wrong about that? He goes to Wisconsin. Like that's where all the hot chicks are. But there is a truth to that a British accent, you agree with me, a British accent, like there's no hotter accent, is there?
I mean, there might be something to it. And realistically speaking, there is something about this theory that you are more attractive outside of your own country.
You're exotic.
I think you lived through that, and I've lived through that because, like you said, you're kind of like ooh, you're exotic kind of thing. And obviously, if you pair that up with like a British accent, especially for a lot of people, that would be a major like turn on for sure.
But almost more so in this storyline
Yeah.
where is he? He's just trying every single flirt game in the book, or in his book rather. It's pretty poor flirt games, and he's just giving up on British people. And he talks to his pal about it all, and he decides, I'm gonna go to the USA because there everybody really wants to shag me because I have a British accent. Yeah, governor. And he goes ahead and rents out his flats, fills his backpack with condoms, and just goes to the USA. And we all know that it's gonna end horribly. And then what happens when he lands in Wisconsin? You pick up something from there.
He goes to bar
and orders a Budweiser. That's that detail.
I
know. I've never heard of anyone ordering a Bud.
Same, but and then he proceeds to meet some of the most beautiful women ever. So apparently, Wisconsin's where it's at, bro. Like maybe we're overlooking certain things. But what's your favorite scene? Do you have a favorite scene?
The favorite scene, definitely. It's the second. I would say so. It's the second largest or more important relationship or storyline. It's between Liam Neeson and his son Sam. I forget his no. The actor is called Thomas.
Thomas. Yeah.
Very real. Liam Neeson is his stepdad. Recently lost his mother and his, well, that's unclear. Possibly wife or whatever. And so Liam is.
Wait. What?
Liam and what's Liam's relationship to Thomas's or Sam's wife, mother?
Well, she's his wife.
Yeah,
that's why he's Sam's stepdad.
You have to be married to be a stepdad. You can be boyfriend girlfriend and be stepdad. Not
No.
legally.
Not legally.
Oh. Well, my bad for not understanding how that works. Psh, I'll never have kids. That sounds way too complicated. Or I'll never inherit kids. That sounds awful.
That sounds awful.
Well, Thomas is sad. Neeson don't know how to deal with it, and he sits down with Thomas. Are you sad? Is it about mom? Like, what can I do for you? And Thomas is like, no, it's way worse. I mean, I'm sad about mom and all, but I'm in love. And Liam is like, well, thank God. I thought it was gonna be way worse. His response is my favorite line in the entire movie and probably in cinema history, because it's like, I'm paraphrasing. I forget the exact line, but it's something like, worse than the agony of love. And that's real. That's real right there.
Yeah, I think what's cool about Sam's character, so the Thomas, he's the actor, is that he gets to say things as a child that a lot of grown-up people don't say because we think we might be like cataloged as dramatic, but they're just really, really true. Like his whole idea of love and the way that he looks at it and how he thinks when this girl leaves, it'll be the end of his life as he knows it, and all this other stuff that goes on through his head, they end up being really relatable to a lot of people, where it's like, yeah, I've been through that. Like, I've truly thought about that. You know, maybe it was when I was younger, but a lot of people have gone through that for sure.
Yeah, it's very much like first love kind of a situation, and go to the extent that you do as a kid.
Oh yeah, for sure.
but naturally, oh man, like the reaction from that kid when his crush is on stage and singing, isn't it that freaking song?
It is.
Hate that song. She sings fucking All I Want for Christmas Is You, and she points at Thomas, and then she goes, and you, and you, and you. And the look from Thomas is when he's just brutalized by this
Yeah.
girl is amazing. Amazing. It's a good
Yeah,
moment.
because at first he's like, "Oh, I've made it. This is the reason why I learned to play drums. Everything is true. Love exists." And then she starts pointing to everyone, and he goes, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
It's amazing. I think it's another really good moment.
What else is there? We have. Oh, I forget. What's the PM's name?
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. How could I
Oh,
have
you can't-
forgotten?
Yeah, you can make a rom-com in the early 2000s
No.
without Hugh Grant.
I do like their portrayal of the PM though. That's nice to see, sort of a raunchy, everyday kind of joke
Dude.
in Parliament.
That would never happen in an American movie.
No,
Like, they would never do that to the establishment that is the president of the
Mr.
United States of
President.
America. All jokes aside, though, I agree with you. I think Hugh Grant is a really funny dude. And, he might be playing variations of the same character through some of his movies, but I really think it works on this one. I think, as far as the adult storylines go, this was a pretty entertaining one. And I think what I enjoy is how his normal way of thinking goes with Natalie's normal way of being. And I just love how she is very quirky and very funny, but not in an over-the-top way, and not in like a she's dumb kind of way. She's just like a normal person. She doesn't. She gets nervous. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I feel like out of all the storylines that end well and kind of cliche, cheesy, whatever you want to call it, I feel like this one had to end the way it did. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been a good movie. I would have just sunk it all.
Yeah. If you think about it, this is the one storyline that makes the movie follow the rom-com formula, which is
Yeah.
they meet, they kind of flirt, they lose each other, and then they meet again.
But it's
thing.
very rational though with how it works. But I'm like hoping that they'll get together, even though I know that they will. But the scene when he goes from door to door is kind of cute, you gotta admit.
Dude, yeah. Especially because he's like, this is just something we're gonna do now. I'm gonna try and
part
hit
of
every
new
single
service.
door.
And we have him knock on Heiki's door, which is very nice to see in a movie that has multiple storylines. Of course, the storylines work well in parallel to another, and the flow of the entire movie works extremely well. As you mentioned, that's probably the editors. That's the servant of a lot of praise, therefore. But the PM bumps into Heike, which is of course is the secretary of that other guy. Dude, there's a lot of good people. But it's nice, even though it's just a moment. It's nice to have a connection of people that you have gotten to know, and that's the entire point of the film, right? Is that
for sure.
people that you otherwise wouldn't know have such a huge life that you never see, and here is 9 of them in a short, concise 2 hours.
I think it's cool. I think it's definitely because the way that all of them are connected one way or another kind of brings this whole idea of Christmas back into the movie. And I feel like even though you could say it's not necessarily a Christmas movie because they don't really talk about the Christmas spirit and all, but it's very warm. It's very homey how it kind of binds all of these stories together, and how you see these characters affect each other in ways that are subtler than other movies. I think it's cool.
Martin Freeman's character, though, we cannot go this podcast without mentioning the naked of the naked Martin Freeman, and that's all. He's naked.
It's such a bizarre storyline.
Bizarre. I love it. It's perfect. They're so casual about it, and I'm always wondering if how he's able to play it off, doing these very sexual motions without making it awkward, because they're not awkward. They're just chatting about.
I mean, I think there comes a point in your career where you've done it enough times, right? Because they're supposed to be professional stand-ins.
Yeah. I love how the guy, he's coming up and is like, could you please move the nipples to the right, and we'll get a better lighting measure. And the gaffer comes in with the lighting meter. Oh my god, it's peak humor.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, it works so well, mostly because you've never seen it before. Like, I think that's an aspect of filmmaking that people don't usually think about, but it happens. Honestly, it's the whole reason why sex scenes feel so produced and cold and commercial, is because they're shot like that.
I must say, like, the first time I saw it, it flew over my head that they were stand-ins. I thought they were shooting a full-on porno.
No, me too.
Yeah.
I will say this about Love Actually, because I don't love all of it, actually. You're welcome for that.
I think you're wrong, but do go on.
I hate the visual style of this movie. I hate the fact that it looks like every other early 2000 movie out there that was shot digitally. I think it looks like ass. I think... because they have really good actors attached to it. So I don't see any other reason as to why it looks like ass, other than the fact that it's like the early adoption of digital filmmaking. And I fucking hate it. I hate it. I hate every second of it. It looks so fucking ugly.
Are you saying that it's less timeless because of how the resolution or quality has aged? I feel like the story makes up for it. Like, I unlike you, didn't sit there and like, oh, this would be so much better if I could see the grains on screen instead.
It's not about grain, douchebag. It's about just... I hate the look of it, man. Like, I really think there's only a handful of people who were able to work with, like, the early digital stuff. One of them being David Fincher. Mm-hmm. And also because the movies that he made with the early digital stuff were grainy as shit anyways. Like, they're supposed to be grimy and dark and muddy. But, like, other movies, especially big studio movies like this one, just why? They look so dated. So dated.
Well, does it bother you?
It bothers me. I swear to God. Because I don't watch this movie. Like, I don't watch this movie enough to remember it very detailed. Uh-huh. So every time I do watch it, I remember it as it being this big thing because it had all these huge actors and it was very successful and all of this other shit. And then the first frame comes up and it looks like ass. All of it looks like ass.
The first sequence looks worse, but that's because it's filmed with real people. It's like a long lens hidden camera kind of situation, but it ties it together so nicely. It's a nice opening, and then there's a little poem, and then that's like a story of its own, and then we're introduced to all the rest stories, and it's just like, cool. I don't know how else I would open the film.
The opening and the closing of the film are definitely the cheesiest parts of the movie.
Cheesy.
Cheesiest for sure.
Yeah.
100%. The whole narration about what love is and how they work the title of the movie into the poem where it's like, love actually is all around us. It's like, come on, bruh.
But how else would you introduce a multi-story movie? I don't know. Possibly in a better, less cheesy way. But as you said, it kind of goes with the type of movie.
I'm not saying it doesn't work. No. I understand the cheesiness has to be a part of it, right? Like, I get it. But I also just don't like how it looks. I don't like how it looks.
Wow.
I've honestly never had an issue with how movies look. And for some reason, it's just like, it really irked me. I was like, what?
You've complained about early digital before.
I'll say this, though. I feel like a lot of people overlook Colin Firth's storyline with the Portuguese lady, Aurelia. I really like that one.
That scene by the lake, no, by the pond, and the papers just fly in them. I always forget that's in this movie. I have a very strong connection to that scene, but like every time, oh, it's this movie. Either way.
I think what I really like is this whole idea of like, she speaks in Portuguese and he speaks in English, and they don't really know what's happening, but we know, so we laugh at them. But like, it's also, I feel it works really well. Like, even I'm okay even with the cheesiness of the end scene between them, where he like goes and like proposes to her.
Yeah, sure.
I'm okay with it, because I feel like there's something really, really cute about someone learning a language for someone that they are attracted to, especially when you realize that she also started learning English, and I'm like, so cute. I approve.
There's very little going nuts in their way. There's very little friction to their romance, but I guess that's nice seeing also, and how they're really going to the extremes by that. It's a sweet one.
I mean, especially where you consider that their relationship starts because his girlfriend was cheating on him with his brother.
Yeah,
which it's gotta suck.
If you pay close attention to it, later when he goes home for Christmas, the brother is in the background, and it's a small detail, but his face is just perfect to like the shame that he feels about spending Christmas with the family. It makes you wonder if the family knows about it.
That's hilarious. I hadn't noticed, actually.
Next year, pay attention. It is kind of, I'm not sure, melodramatic or just straight up dramatic, though, how he literally goes home to the family, sees them, closes the door, and runs to the airplane, I can see how that one plays out a little bit too much, too high drama, but it works as it's only to that storyline, though. It works. Do you have anything else to bring up? I feel like we've covered most of it, at least the more important ones.
Yeah.
It's difficult to talk about so many things at the same time. There's so many people. But they pull their weight.
I think that's the most important part about it. They all seem to be happy and like happy with how much screen time they all have, and I think it really shows. You know, like, it's not easy to have that many big actors in the same movie, and I think they all handle it really well, and they are not trying to outperform each other. Like, they're all okay with being part of this bigger whole, and I think that's really cool. I really enjoy it.
So if we were to round up our closing thoughts, I guess, for Love Actually, I don't really know what I would add to this. To me, this is, as we mostly talk about, he knows exactly what it is, not trying to be anything else. And it's really impressive how they, through the editing and just script, I guess, how they're able to have so many stories, collaborate with so many actors, and make it work so well. It's amazing to me how we're just experiencing small things over here with Martin Freeman and bigger things over here with Emma Thompson's and Alan Rickman's relationship. Keep it so realistic, very much down to earth, and yet leave you with a feel-good feeling, even though not all relationships work out the way you would have hoped.
For sure.
So rating-wise, for me, it's an easy one. This is a clear 5 out of 5 to me.
Wow.
A true Christmas classic. No, but it works very well, and even on repeat. It's one that you easily can put on every year, have as a tradition for the holidays.
I mean, it's weird. It's weird because I really, really like it, and even though there's not much that I would change, or anything for that matter, like I really, really feel like it works for what it is, and I think the script is really where the strength of it comes from.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, like with every single movie out there, scripts get changed once you start shooting, and then once you edit, obviously another big change happens. But without a solid script, you don't have anything. So definitely script, and then performance wise, I think they all work really well together. I think they are all part of a very well-rounded whole. And I just don't fucking like the look of it.
You're letting that destroy.
I don't know if it truly affects a lot of other stuff, but it's also really, really funny, and I have a really good time every time I watch it. And so I would say I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I'm not sure I would go as far as saying like this is a 5 out of 5. I feel even though it's relatable and even though it's really funny, I wouldn't say it's quote unquote perfect.
All right.
I don't even know if there's rom-coms that I give 5 out of 5s to. It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think About Time might be one of the only ones, but About Time is just so damn good.
I don't think that scored a 5 for me, but it's definitely up there, yes. I think rom-coms are difficult that way because you kind of have to have you relate to the film.
Yeah.
In order for it to really score that high of a point. True.
So, Algat, believe it or not, with this conversation done with and the cup of coffee that is over, this is our last episode of the year.
Whoa.
So,
exciting.
How do you
Scary.
feel 24 episodes in?
It's okay. I tolerate you.
Thank you to everyone who's stuck with us, and if you've made it this far, if this is your first episode or if you've seen all 24, happy holidays to you, and we will probably see you next year. We'll see. Algat's contract is up, so I might hire someone else that I like more, but we'll see. With that, Algat, how about you do the outro for us?
Absolutely. We have TikToks, we have letterboxes, we have well, that's all we have, isn't it? Make sure to follow us. Yeah. Make sure to follow us there for small fun videos on TikToks and logging movies that we don't necessarily talk about on the podcast on Letterboxd. And also, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, wherever the fuck you are, click the follow button and you'll be notified once we come back next year with more movie talks. Oof, you can never get tired of it, can you? There's always stuff to talk about in movies, cinema, films.
Yes.
And of course, more Fika to be had. With that, adios, bye-bye, and happy holidays.
See ya.